How foster parents can support permanency planning. If you are a foster parent in British Columbia, you will have heard that planning for permanency is the priority for all children and youth in foster care and in out-of-care placements. But just what is permanency? Is it as simple as ensuring that young people have permanent long-term relationships? In a nutshell, yes, that is the goal. But the process of ensuring that their supportive relationships are in their best interest is a bit more complex. It is a right of all children to have their family and community connections upheld and honored by those who are caring for them. It's up to you as a foster parent to keep in mind that you are the facilitator that puts into action all of the planning for the children in your home. Without you, children and youth in care may never be able to make and maintain these relationships. As a foster parent, it is our responsibility to follow care plans to the best of our ability. What is considered permanency for children and youth in care? Permanency means a permanent relationship connection with at least one significant person in a child or youth's life. This significant lifelong connection provides a child or a youth with the stability and continuity they need to develop into healthy, secure adults. Wherever possible, kinship ties and a child or youth's attachment to extended family are preserved. For Indigenous children and youth, these connections include permanent ties to their community to ensure a strong cultural identity. Planning for permanency for children and youth includes a number of services and programs delivered by social workers in all areas of child welfare. The goals of these services is to secure safe, caring, legally recognized, and continuous family outside of government or agency care for children who are at risk of being removed from their families or who are already in care. From the first contact with a child in the family, securing permanency is the focus. With the goal of maintaining or establishing permanent ties for all children and youth from the very beginning of contact, the chances of healthy development and positive outcomes are greatly improved. While consulting with former youth in care, they have told us that permanency means caregivers who don't receive money to care for them. This is especially impactful for youth who often don't feel a sense of belonging with paid caregivers. It means stability. They can stop counting how many foster placements they have had. It means that they have a sense of certainty about what the future holds. They know where they will go for holidays when they are adults. It means family. All young people want to know that decisions are being made by people who love them and that they will live with rather than social workers who don't know them as well. Why permanency planning is a focus for BC's children and youth in care. We know that children and youth require a stable and continuous relationship with at least one nurturing adult in order to maximize physical, social, emotional, and moral development. When permanent family connections are disrupted over time, children can experience disruptions in healthy development, which may result in an increased risk of experiencing addictions, poverty, mental health issues, and many other concerning outcomes. Youth who age out of care without family-like connections are likely to experience the negative effects of lacking a permanent relationship, even if they have been with one stable caregiver long-term. The longer a child is without permanency, the higher the risk of experiencing negative outcomes with lifelong implications. The goals and values of focusing on permanency. There are 4 goals that guide the ministry's focus on permanency for children and youth. To promote a sense of belonging, to preserve a child or youth's attachment to extended family whenever possible, to focus on the future with the reference point being the entire lifespan, not just the time a child is in care, and to maintain awareness that the most important guiding principle is that children belong with families and not in care. Types of permanency. Permanency has 4 dimensions. Relationship permanency, which means strong, long-lasting connections with family or family-like individuals that provide positive, unconditional commitment. Physical permanency is having safe, stable, healthy, and lasting living arrangements. Cultural permanency provides the sense of belonging to one's heritage and cultural community. Cultural permanency is achieved through continuous and meaningful connection to culture regardless of what else is changing. There is a strong focus on cultural permanency to ensure that Indigenous children and youth stay connected to their communities. This priority is reinforced through changes to BC's Child, Family and Community Services Act under the Rights of Children in Care and supported by Ministry policy and practice. Legal permanency is achieved through legally binding custodial arrangements such as family preservation, transfer of guardianship, or adoption. Placement of children in care or in out-of-care homes. The practice priority for placement of all children is to ensure that decisions are made and implemented in a timely manner. Kinship ties and extended family or family-like relationships must be preserved if at all possible. Priority must be given to placing children and youth with family, or if that isn't consistent with a child's best interest, they should be placed in a location where the child can maintain contact with relatives and friends, or in the same family unit as the child's siblings, or in a location that will allow the child to continue in the same school. A further consideration for placement of Indigenous children and youth is that Indigenous children be placed with extended family or within the child's cultural community or with another Indigenous family outside the child's community or with a non-Indigenous family with an approved exception to place an Indigenous child with a non-Indigenous family and a cultural plan which has been approved by the Exceptions Committee. Approval of the committee is not necessary if the placement is in the home of a relative. A cultural plan may be required if the prospective adoptive parent and the child are from different cultural communities. What are the permanency options? So what does permanency actually look like? There are a few options that all depend upon the best interests of the child or youth. Returning to parents or other family members. Finding a great adoptive home within or outside of a child's community. Planning for an adoption by a foster parent who have been identified as the best permanent family for the child or youth. Planning for reunification while at the same time knowing that the child has another suitable permanent placement should reunification not be successful. Transfer of legal custody to a responsible adult who has a permanent commitment and relationship ties to the child or youth. Establishing guardianship with another responsible adult who has a parent-like relationship with the child or youth. Other details about permanency planning. Just like a child's care plan, Ministry policy states that permanency plans should be reviewed. The timeline for reviews of the plan depends on the age and custody situation of the child or youth. When permanency is being planned for Indigenous children or youth in care, the child's community must be involved. Children and youth should also be involved and consulted about any planning for their future. Children 12 years old and older must consent to any legal permanency plan. We know that children and youth who stay in foster care generally don't achieve the same positive outcomes as children who are adopted or returned home when measuring social skills, language, cognition, and behavior. This is true even if returned to family living in poverty and with less skilled caregivers. What can a foster parent do to facilitate permanency plans? As a foster caregiver, you will be tremendously helpful by putting plans into action. Be engaged in the permanency planning process by ensuring that scheduled visits are taking place, by facilitating ongoing connection, and ensuring that children and youth are attending visits, gatherings, or events. If you need assistance initiating connections within a child's Indigenous community, Ask for assistance from your child's social worker. Learn about the protocols associated with the Indigenous communities that you are facilitating connections with, so that you are respectful of their practices when you are visiting. You may be surprised to learn that good manners may look different from community to community. Encourage the children and youth in your home to talk about their relationships and reinforce the importance of those long-term connections. Validate their feelings, whatever those feelings may be, about connecting to new people and communities that they may be unfamiliar with. Understand that stepping into new territory may be very difficult, not only for you, but certainly for the children and youth who are comfortable with you and may be concerned about making new connections. If a child is very young, you can reinforce permanency planning with lots of discussion. For instance, if a child has an adoption plan, show pictures, tell stories, and encourage familiarity with ideas around family and belonging. Most importantly, be flexible. Planning for permanency for a child is a process that responds to the best interests and the needs of the child. Plans may change as the child develops or information is identified. Remember, you are a critical part of the child or youth care team. If you have any questions about the permanency plan, ask the child's worker for clarification. For more information about permanency planning or any other topic, please call 1-800-663-9999.